Okay, so this training is being recorded, Benjamin. Please don't use any bad language, and don't swear at me. If you have any questions as we carry on through, please ask. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So you are aware that there are a number of versions of the software.
Mm-hmm.
And if I open up our website and I go to the support tab, you can see that we have software downloads.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 3 versions of the software. The bottom or the introductory level is the iSpeed Viewer software, which is available free of charge as a download from the website. Yeah. That's instantaneous, so any customer requesting a viewer download will be able to download from our website. I get sent an email to advise me that the customer has downloaded that software.
Mm-hmm.
And if the customer's from Germany, I would send that through to yourself.
And I saw you sent already with customer.
Yeah, you know, the customer may or may not have a high-speed camera. They may not even have an iSpeed camera. But I think for those customers, it's probably worth either sending them a quick email or giving them a telephone call just to check and make sure that everything is okay, that they're happy. You know, is there anything that we can do for them? I think that's probably a good thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Any customer requesting a download of control, this is the level of software which is supplied as standard with all cameras. We get our technical service department here, get the email request, and we then have to contact them to confirm with them that they do indeed have an iSpeed camera, and we confirm what serial number that they have and that they do in fact own a camera before we will release the control software to them. And the same is the case for Control Pro. And on any of those occasions, of course, I would send you the details of the email just so you're aware of what's happening with the customer. It could be that the customer has a problem. It could be someone new to the company. But again, I think it's a good opportunity for us to contact that customer.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay. So they're the 3 different levels of software. As you're aware, the control is supplied as standard with the cameras. Control Pro is an optional upgrade. And essentially what the customer is doing is buying a USB key which unlocks the full functionality of the software when they buy Control Pro.
Okay.
We always stress to a customer, please do not lose the USB dongle. If they lose it and they do not know either the serial number or the license code, we cannot replace it. We must charge them full price for a new system. If they lose the dongle or break the dongle and they have either the serial number or the registration code, we offer them a replacement service, which is frankly is just the cost of the dongle itself, the manufacturing cost of the dongle. But please stress to your customers to look after that USB key. It is where the value of the software is. Okay. Now today what I intend to do is go through Control software and Control Pro and look at analysis. Okay. What I'm not going to do is go through how you use the software to connect to cameras. So if you go on our website and you go to training videos, there is a video here, video number 4, which tells the customer how to control a camera using the software. Okay.
Hello, and welcome to the 4th Olympus iSpeed Labs. My name is Chris Robinson, and today I'd like to show you how to connect and control your iSpeed 3 camera from a PC or laptop.
So that video is available. That's Chris. You won't have met Chris yet. Chris is our director of R&D, so the iSpeed cameras are his baby basically, and he delivers that presentation. It shows the customer or yourself, if you forget, need a refresher, how to connect the cameras and download video from the camera to the PC, no problem at all. Okay, so those videos are there, and there is also analysis, which is a reminder really of the training that I'm going to give today, and also how to control multiple cameras from a single PC. They're all really useful little videos. They're about 5 or 6 minutes long, each of them. So you can sit there in the office with a cup of coffee and review them at your leisure. Okay, so if you need a reminder at all, they're a really good resource for you to go to and have a look at. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Let's open up the iSpeed control software. In fact, actually, let me go back a stage. If I close that down and I open up from here, you can see that we always get this reminder pops up, and it tells me that we're not using a USB key. Okay, there's no fault with the software, there's no issue, but it just tells me, and it's a prompt to the customer maybe, that there is something more for this software. Okay, so this opens up as control. Okay,
so I've got a question. So
of course,
if I buy the USB stick, and so the Control Pro will be automatically activated by the USB.
Yes, exactly. If your USB key is in the USB port and you've entered your license code into the software, this will open automatically, and I'll run through that in a minute when we talk about Control Pro.
Okay.
Okay. So initially, the software opens in the Acquire tab, and this is where we would connect the camera to the software. Now, we're not interested in doing that today. We can do that on another occasion if you want, or you can watch the videos that I've just explained. But I'm going to go to the Archive Browser tab, and this acts as a library, if you like, of all of the videos that I have stored on this particular PC. And it's a really nice way of searching through videos to find the particular video that you're interested in. Okay, so if I click on here, to open a video from here, all I do is double click on the particular video that I'm interested in. And it opens it up in what we call the working view. You can see the working view here. This allows me now to start to review the video and also perform some detailed analysis with control. Okay, so the tabs across here, just to run through very quickly, the tabs across here operate just like a regular video recorder. We can play the video forwards, we can play the video backwards, forwards again, we can stop it, we can advance it frame by frame. Okay, this is a loop function. So as the video plays through and gets towards the end of the video, it will actually loop and start again. Exactly. Okay. We also have a zoom function, so I can zoom right into the area that I'm interested in, and also a pan, so I can manipulate and pull the video around to show the video how we want it to appear. To take it off zoom, I click on zoom again, double click, and it returns the video to normal. For some customers wanting to perform analysis, we can display the video one-to-one with the pixels that we save the video as, so you can see we get a much larger image here. Or I like to use it fitted into the window. Now, this software, in fact, this is probably a poor video to show you. When we store a video file, it's numbered or named as a .hsv file. Also numbered at the same time and stored at the same time is a .uda file, which contains all of the information that I need to populate this area here. So my frame rate, and unfortunately I've chosen a video here where we haven't saved a UDA file. So it's always important for you or for a customer to save the HSV file and the UDA file that goes with it. Okay, the UDA file has all of the data.
And the software detects automatically the file if there are the information.
Yes, it does. If you open a .hsv file, the software will automatically look for a UDA file with the same name.
Okay.
And it will open it automatically. Okay. So we have the frame numbers across here. This yellow bar denotes my entire video, and I have frame numbers from frame 0 to frame 481, which is across the top here. If I wind this video back slightly, you can see a flash occur in the frame. And actually what the customer's doing here is using a flash in the scene to denote their trigger frame. And this occurs in this video on frame 39. It could be that the customer wants the trigger frame to be their frame 0. So I can actually set that point to be frame 0. So this now becomes frame 0.
Okay.
Okay. And that can be useful for customers. We also have the facility to play the video back more quickly or more slowly using this slider, and the maximum speed is entirely dependent on the processing power of your PC. So we may select here a frame rate of 30 frames a second. You can see we're not achieving 30 frames a second. That's because of the processing power of my PC. Okay, does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, so let's stop that and let's wind this video back a little way.
So many customers ask me what kind of laptop or PC is a good, or what kind of need for the software that I can download the files fast from the camera. What kind of laptop do I need?
Sure, and it's a fairly common question. You know, even a very basic PC will run the software, but the performance of the PC will not dictate the download speed from the camera. Okay, the download speed from the camera is set really, or is limited by the processing power in the camera itself. So realistically, the maximum frame speed that you get for download from the iSpeed 3 is 30 frames per second. Okay, that's the maximum really download speed that you can expect. And really, that's the reason why on the CDU we introduced the bookmarks, and that's the importance of bookmarking the event as tightly as possible to ensure that we're downloading as few frames as possible.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, all I'm going to do for my analysis is step along these tabs along the top here. Now, in this particular video, we've got a nicely illuminated scene, and the objects that I want to track have been marked by the customer. These are we call these bow tie markers, and these are very common in the automotive industry. But it could be that the customer doesn't have the facility to place these markers in the image. It's always useful to put some kind of marking there if we can. But using the Process tab, we can really start to manipulate and change how the image looks to pull out details in the image and make it easier to track.
Okay.
Because the software is looking for a high degree of contrast to make it easy to track. Let me reset this. A lot of customers actually, even if they have a color image, they like to perform tracking and analysis on a monochrome image because we have a good degree of contrast between obviously the black structure here and the white object here. It's the best contrast that we can get. Okay. For some applications, particularly applications where we're looking at very small particles, if I double click on the grey bar here, I can pull out the individual colours, red, green and blue, and really manipulate and change this. It's particularly useful for spray analysis or fluid flows, or aerosol sprays, that kind of thing, where it's very difficult to get imaging. And again, I can really manipulate and change the image. There is no, I can't give you a guide as to what the best setup will be. This will be really on an individual basis, case by case. To return these to a single bar, if you double click on them, they'll return to single, and I'll just hit reset. Okay. So have a play around with these, experiment with these, and see how different videos look in different circumstances. You'll find that this process tab will help you pull out more detail in an image. Okay?
Okay, yeah, that's good. I got it.
Fine. So let's move on to Calibrate. Just as on the CDU, have you done tracking on the CDU?
Yeah, but yeah, it's not easy to handle, I think. So
okay, I think this is much more simple on the software here. But just as we do on the CDU, we need to calibrate the software. We need to give the software a known reference within the image. And a customer will be able to provide you with that detail, or in some cases, the customer will put a scale actually into the image itself. But for example here, let's assume that we know the dimensions of this target. So I can place my first marker here, and you can see I get a little red number 1 here. And if I place my second marker, let's place it here, set point 2. I need to give the software a distance. I have no idea what that distance is, but let's say it's 10 centimeters.
Okay.
Okay, it may be completely wrong, but let's call it 10 centimeters.
Yes.
Any button that appears in red, we must click on it. Okay, and what the software does, it goes off and it calculates the number of pixels per centimeter that it sees between these two tabs. Now, this is why this is easier to do on the software than the CDU, because what I can actually do, if I zoom in here, we can actually see how accurate I have been with my placement of those markers, and I can get to below pixel accuracy.
Yeah.
You can see that the image is now starting to look very pixelated, but you can also see that I've missed the target. And so now what I want to do is I want to change point number 1 from here to here, and point number 2 from here maybe to here. And then I need to re-click apply. And you can see that it gives me a different result, but I'm much happier that my pixel placement is much more accurate. Okay. So once I've made that calibration, I can zoom back out of the image, which is fine. And now we can start to analyze. Oh, sorry, before I carry on, you can see that we have 2 tabs here, normal and perspective. Now, for tracking to be accurate, most customers will want to have their camera completely perpendicular to the action that is taking place. So the camera is at 90 degrees to the action.
Okay.
And that ensures me that I'll get a good result. It is possible, and I'm not going to go through this today, this is a little more advanced. It is possible to do accurate tracking. Okay, it is possible to do tracking where the camera is not perpendicular to the action, and it's called perspective tracking. And I'll leave that for a more advanced session another time. Okay.
Yeah.
So for the majority of applications, you want to get the camera at 90 degrees, and we can see here that this sled is moving in this direction and the camera is positioned at 90 degrees. So I'm happy with that, yeah? So let's click on Analyze and let's click on Start. Now we calibrated our target here in centimeters. So let's display our results also in centimeters. And you can see here with control, I can track up to 4 different points in the image. And I'm going to lock off the 4th one and only track on 3. Just that timing. You can see here that this is a very manual process, okay? And this is one of the major differences between Control and Control Pro. So as a customer, I may be interested in, let's click on this marker here, in the center of this marker here. I click on Select Point. You can see that my yellow bar now moves down to the second of these 2 tracking points. Let's maybe track the dummy's head. Excuse me. So let's click on this marker here. I hit Select Point. The yellow bar has now moved down to the 3rd point. And when I click on a 3rd marker and then click on Select Point, if you watch the video, you'll see that the video advances by 1 frame. Really, there's not a lot of motion there, so I'll advance the video through a few more frames. And now what I have to do is go through and identify the exact same spot that I identified previously. Okay, and I'm just being very rough and inaccurate here. And again, it advances by 1 frame. Let's advance it forward a few more frames. And you can see, if I'm a customer and I'm having to do this for 4 points on a piece of video, and I have maybe a couple of 100 frames worth of video, you know, I have 400 frames here. If I want to be accurate with my tracking, you know, and accurate with my placement of these markers, this is going to take me a long time, okay? But it's possible to do. It's possible to do tracking and analysis. So if I move back, I don't know whether you can see, Benjamin, but each of these points has a blue circle around them.
Mm-hmm.
And this denotes that I'm on that current frame. This is my current tracking marker.
Yeah, I've seen that, yes.
Yeah. So for each of these 3 points, I'm given the current XY position of that point based on my point of origin being here in the top left-hand corner.
Okay.
I'm given the distance to the origin, again the origin point being here, based on the calibration that I gave it, and also the speed of that point at that point in time. Okay? And I get that for each of the 3 points.
So what's the speed we see there? Is it centimeters an hour? Or?
Yeah, this is centimeters per second.
Per second.
Yeah, I've chosen centimeters, so this is speed per second, 1.007 centimeters per second. And that's only as accurate as my calibration and obviously the placement of my markers. Now I do have the facility to export every single point that we've tracked here in every single frame and get all of this information, and I can export that to Excel by clicking on this export tab. Now, unfortunately, I don't have Excel loaded onto this computer, unfortunately. But if you try that on your own laptop, you'll see that for every single frame where you've done analysis, you'll get all of this data. And it starts to become very useful for the customer at that point. They can calculate acceleration or deceleration if that's what they're interested in. And they can start to graph the data from their Excel spreadsheet. Okay?
Yeah.
Really, getting towards the end of what control can do for you in terms of analysis is if we go to the comment tab, I have the facility to name this test or this video, seat test, I don't know, seat test 43, for example. And that comment will remain in this tab throughout the whole of the video. So if I play the video backwards or play it forwards, you can see that comment remains there. Yeah, and it helps identify for the customer, and it starts to build up a report generation, if you like, for the customer. Okay. And finally, I have the facility, based on the calibration that I gave it, to draw some measurements. So maybe, let's say, I'm interested to know the distance in this frame from this marker here to the tip of the dummy's toes, for example. I don't know whether I am interested in that, but it's possible to do. Let me see if I can make that larger. So if you double click on the line, it operates just like a Word document. We can manipulate it and change it so that the measurement becomes larger, and we can see that here. Okay. So again, that's accurate based on my calibration. And finally, I also have the facility to perform, if I want to, angular measurements.
Okay.
Oops. So again, click on it. Oops. Make that larger so we can see it. So it starts to become useful to the customer. Okay, and I get angular measurements here. What I can do as a customer, now that I've done that, is I can go to File and I can save all of this analysis so that when I reopen it, and it saves all of the analysis as another file type. So again, when I reopen the video, it will reopen with all of the analysis that I've made here. And it's useful for customers who are wanting perhaps to share information with colleagues or that kind of information, yeah?
Okay.
Now that really is the extent of control. It's designed to be simple to use and give the customer some degree of analysis. Yeah. Now Control Pro takes that to a whole different level. Do you have any questions on control while we're here? Is there anything that I've missed out, or is there anything else you want to know on control?
No, I think everything is clear. Can we go start with the play, assess, and calibrate and further? So I want to just test that I got everything.
I'm sorry, Benjamin, I missed that. I'm sorry, you'll have to repeat.
Yeah, I just want to see all sheets, play, process, calibrate again, and just want to have a look at everything.
So here's the play tab.
Yeah. So what means reticle?
Reticle refers to the graphing function, which is defaulted here to the top left corner, but the reticle is this crosshair that you see in the image.
Ah, okay.
And as I move and change the position, it gives me the XY position of that center section of the reticle.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's clear.
Okay. So this is process.
So you can use that for especially for the fluid analyze.
Well, these particular functions are particularly useful for things like spray patterns and fluid analysis. Any objects which are very small and where you don't have sufficient degree of contrast.
Okay.
And actually, it's a good point because ideally what you would do for every single test is artificially create that contrast in the original image. So you can see here the customer has got a plain wall in the background. And it's something that you want to consider when you're making videos is what am I going to do with this video once I've captured it? Do I need to do analysis? And if you are thinking of doing analysis on a piece of video, you need to consider how that video looks before you make the recording.
Okay.
And so it can be, for some tests, it can be as simple as putting a plain piece of white paper in the background, just to make the object that you're looking at stand out more sharply. Yeah,
makes sense.
Different things to consider as you're setting up the video. Okay.
So especially maybe next week I know a customer with a fluid analyze, so I think it is a good tool to change the color to what's going on there.
Exactly. If he's looking at fluid flowing through maybe a clear tube, maybe what you want to do is put a white piece of paper or put it on a white background, and then when you've recorded the video, is use these functions here to really try and manipulate the image and pull out the detail for him.
Okay.
It's a good option. Yeah. Okay. So if you're happy with control, one more function and feature particularly useful at exhibitions is this little tab here. I only have one video open at the moment, but if I open a second video and I go to my browser here and let me open a third video, what this button does, it plays each of the videos through in turn. So you don't have to reopen a video and start another video. It's particularly useful at exhibition stands.
Okay.
So once this video gets through to its end, let's carry it on. Come on. So automatically the second video will start. And now the third video will start. Okay, and we can stop that using this tab here, this little button here. And that stops it.
Okay.
You need to have each of the videos open in the working view. Okay, so I've gone to my archive browser, I've opened up the video, each of the individual videos that I'm interested in. They'll be open in the working view, and I just click on this, and it will play each of the videos through. Great for exhibitions. Okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
This feature is in control. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to close Control down and I'm going to open up Control Pro and show you some of the major differences between Control and Control Pro, yeah?
Yeah.
So if I click to close this, it asks me if I want to make or save the changes to the analysis. I don't want to dirty this video, so I'm just going to say no to each of these, okay?
Okay.
So I've closed the video, the iSpeed control down. I'm now going to put my dongle into the laptop. And now when I open up the suite, the software suite here, I don't get the error message or the warning message, and you can see in the top here, it opens up as Control Pro rather than Control.
Okay.
Some useful hints for all customers who have got Control or Control Pro. Routinely, they want to do check for updates. So as long as they're connected to the internet, the software will go out and it will look to see if there's a newer version. And that's obviously free of charge for customers. Okay. Something else that's available and most people don't use but is really, really useful is the lens calculator. And frequently we get asked by customers who want to know what lens they should use for a particular application. Let's say they're using an iSpeed 3. All we do is complete this data here. So if they're running at, let's say, for example, 2,000 frames a second, if the object is 5 meters away from them and they're looking at an object which is 10 centimeters in size, they would need to use a 1059 millimeter lens.
Okay.
If they can get the object, if they can get the camera closer, it then becomes a 200 millimeter lens, and we can really start to play and manipulate, these with this data. It's a really, really useful function. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me close that for now. Also, the very first time, if you're using Control Pro, you need to input the license details. So this is the license number for the particular dongle that I'm using. Okay. So we input it there. We would input a new license number here, click on Check License, and assuming that the license is correct, it will open up Control Pro for me. Okay.
Yep.
So we have the same tabs as we had before. Let's go to Archive Browser. Let's open up the same video for consistency. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to skip through some of these tabs quite quickly because the information is pretty much the same. So I'm going to go straight to the Calibrate tab, and I'm going to give this the same calibration that we had previously. So let's say from here to here is 10 centimeters. Okay, I'm not going to check that this is accurate. I'm not going to bother zooming in here on this occasion. We know in this video, Benjamin, that the object moves in this direction and the dummy's head comes down in a curve here, like this.
Yeah.
In Control, the graph is locked to this top left-hand corner. However, I can move it if I want to move it. So let's say I'm interested in the motion of the dummy's head. Click on the point where I want to move it to, and then click on Set Origin. And you can see that the graph's moved now. And all of the motion is going to take place within this graph. Okay, it makes it simple for me. I can manipulate the X direction. Click the reticule, set X direction. I can also flip the Y axis. Okay.
So why
beg your pardon. You repeat the question.
So why do we need this function
It's a good idea to use this function if we want to. Well, I can leave it happily as a customer. I can leave it in the top left corner here, but maybe I'm only interested in the motion of the dummy's head from this point here.
Okay.
So it goes through its curve here. This will become my 0 frame. This will be my XY 0 position here instead of here. And if I'm interested in the dummy's head motion, I would have to subtract. If I left the point of origin here, I would have to subtract all of the positions that it came through from here, from the first position. So if I have the first position as 0, then everything is relative to this starting point here. I don't know if did I explain that clearly or not?
Yeah, it's okay. I think I got it.
Okay, so now when I go to Analyze, and I click Analyze as I did before, you can see that this screen looks very different.
Mm-hmm.
And just for now, I'm going to reduce the size of this so I get a bigger video. Just as I did before, I can analyze up to 4 points. Okay? And Control gave me the facility to analyze 4 points. Actually, what I can do is analyze up to 64 individual points. Now, I've never encountered a customer who wants to analyze 64 points, but it's possible. So let's delete some of these points back so we've got 4 still. And again, just as we did before, I'm going to lock off and I'm not going to use the 4th point. We'll just track 3 points again. Now this is a lot more simple and it's a lot easier and a lot quicker. Literally all I do, you can see I have the option to track manually here or automatically, and it defaults to automatic. And this is really where the main difference is. What I'm going to do is click on Define Region, and then I'm going to take my cursor and I'm going to draw a box, click and hold, and draw a box around the object that I want to track. I then click Select Region, and you can see the yellow bar has now moved down to the 2nd point. Yeah. Again, I'm going to click Define Region, and I'm going to draw a box around the object that I want to track. Click Select Region, and then click Define Region, and draw a box around the object that I want to track. Select Region.
Okay.
Now the software, what the software is going to do is look for that set of pixels in each individual frame. So now when I click Track, it locates that set of pixels in every single individual frame.
Okay.
And you can see how much more quick this is to do. Now you can see that the software has lost the tracking on the dummy's head. Okay, I can back the video up to the point at which we lose that tracking. And the reason it's losing the tracking is, can you see the bow tie marker, the two black objects that look like a bow tie? Like Charlie Chaplin bow tie?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, if I back that up, now I've got to the point now where I'm on the last frame where it's got the tracking. Because that bow tie is rotating, the picture software cannot find that bow tie. Okay, and here's the clever part with the software. If I click on Enable Rotational Tracking, now when I hit track, and I've got my fingers crossed now, but now when I hit track, you'll see that it maintains and it keeps the tracking on the object which is rotating. That's a really cool feature.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm just going to stop the tracking here. Okay, if we wind the video backwards, you can see all of the data down here is moving as there is motion in the image. And again, here we calibrated it in centimeters, so let's display the information in centimeters. And again, I can export the whole lot to an Excel spreadsheet if I want to. It makes the analysis really, really simple and quick for the engineer.
Yeah.
Very simple and quick. Okay. And again, obviously exporting to Excel, they have all of this data here, reams and reams of data. and they can use that to create the graphs that they may want to have a look at. We do have the facility and the function here to graph the data that we see in this portion of the video here. And let's say, for example, we were using a data acquisition module. Any data that we'd collected at the same time as the video would be displayed here also. So we really get to see the data. I'll click on Show Analysis. Maybe I'm interested in the speed, which was object number 2.
F1 is the first point.
F1 is the first point, the red point. F2 that I've highlighted here is the green, which is the dummy's head. Maybe that's what I'm interested in. So I highlight it here. I click on Display. Okay. I can allocate that a color on the graph. So let's maybe choose the same color. Click on Apply and click on Update Graph. And here I see the speed data from the dummy's head. Okay. Now I can use the zoom function to, if I now click and hold and draw a box around the area in which I'm interested, I have the speed data there. Let's take the zoom off. And I also have the facility to filter that information. Clearly, this is digital. This is a digital signal. There is noise in the signal, and I have the facility to filter that information.
Okay.
And I think a lot of your sorry, let me get rid of this. A lot of your clients, a lot of your customers will be familiar with data filtering. It's not really my area of expertise, but there we can see the filtered data line, yeah? Okay. But obviously, the customer has the facility to do this from the Excel data that they will have exported here. It's just nice to show it graphically along with the video. This blue line that we see here is our current frame. So if I wind the video backwards, you can see where I am relative to my tracking point. Okay. That's my current frame number. Okay. Now, this is where the software starts to become really quite powerful, is that if I go onto the Comments tab here, under Control, I only have the facility to call this, I don't know, what do we call it, 43, seat test 43 maybe, same thing. But I didn't have the facility to comment on individual frames. I get that facility with Control Pro, and this is really, really cool. This could be start of test. If I wind the video on a little further, this could be trigger frame.
Okay.
If I wind it on a little further, let's just put some anything in here, and anything in here as we see it here. Now, if I take the video back, every single frame, if you watch the comments box here, as we play the video through, my comments appear in the video itself. And I can use these little buttons here to toggle between the frames that I've highlighted as there is something important happening in this frame. Look at this frame. And that's a really nice little feature.
That's good.
Yeah. So if I now go, let's wind this on to here maybe, to annotations, you can see that the annotations tab has been expanded over Control. And I can really start to draw in the image and make things appear in the image. And actually draw on that video frame. Now I can show that object just in this current frame. If I click on that, if I skip backwards, it disappears. If I skip back onto that frame, it reappears.
Okay.
Okay. So as a customer, I can say, you know, look at the feet, you know, the feet here. Let's close that down. You know, something is important is happening in this area. Okay. And what I also have the facility to do, if I click on that A symbol and click in the window here, I can also add text. Double click on that, just as we did before. I can really start now to say and build up a report of what's happening in this video. Yeah? Really highlight areas that are of interest. Again, I have my measurement facilities, and this allows me to either display in a single frame, display across all of the video, or delete and add stuff here. We also have the facility to overlay images, and this is useful for stills. This doesn't work with video, but if I have a template, if I'm a customer and I'm looking at a piece of equipment, I can overlay a historical piece of footage or a historical image onto this image, and I can compare and contrast the two images.
Okay.
Okay. We don't have a single frame highlighted, but we can go through that another time, no problem at all.
So, for example, if you use this function, you make the same test many times, and then you say, the test is the whole time the same, but I can, look maybe on the different tests, and so I can overlay the image.
Precisely that, and it's really useful for things like preventative maintenance.
Okay.
For any customer interested in that. Now, that's great. You know, this is a really useful. This has provided me with useful information. I'm starting to generate a real report here. And what I want to do as a customer now is share this data either with one of my own customers or with colleagues. And what I don't want to do is start emailing large video files around. So I have the facility to go to Tools and generate the whole thing as an HTML report. So I create a web page which has the video embedded in it, and also all of my analysis, all of my tracking, all of my comments. They'll all be detailed on that HTML report. And it's really, really useful for a lot of customers. Anyone I share this video with can download the viewer software and actually see the video and all of the comments that I've made, all of the analysis that I've done. But what they can't do is make any changes to that analysis. It's purely viewer when they open it in the viewer.
Is it possible to export a diagram?
To export this graph?
Yeah.
No, but obviously the information will be is detailed when we go to analyze. The same information will be detailed on my Excel spreadsheet, and I can create the same graph on my Excel spreadsheet. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and I think that's just about an hour, and that's just about covered it. That's covered the basics. Oh, one thing that I've missed out, look, is this one here, measure relative to feature number 1. So let me just go and erase this tracking here. Okay. Just one more quick thing to show you, Benjamin.
That's okay.
Obviously, in this video, the whole sled is moving. And actually, probably what I'm interested in is not the movement of the sled at all or the chair. I'm interested in the movement of the dummy's head relative to a static chair. So what I can do is if I set my point 1, let's click on this, measure relative to feature number 1. Feature number 1 in this circumstance is going to be this tracking marker here. Okay, select region. What I'm actually interested in is the dummy's head movement relative to this object, which is also moving. So let me click on define region. Select that region. And now when I click track, what you'll find is that the XY position, distance to origin and speed of this first position, this first marker is 0. And this data, all of this data relates to this position here. Okay, so I'm isolating the movement of the chair and I'm only getting the movement now of the dummy's head. And for lots of your customers, that will be a significant feature.
Okay.
So we're isolating this movement, basically. Let's just click stop, as we see here. This will always be 0 in feature number 1, always, because I'm measuring the movement of feature number 2 relative to feature number 1.
Okay.
Okay. And lots of your customers will ask for that feature. These two little features here, these two little innocuous tick boxes, are really, really powerful features.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions at all? Does it make sense? Is it useful?
Yeah, definitely. But the measure relative to feature 1. So for example, what is there any example for a high-speed record? How you can explain it to me again? So
I think probably what I will do, Benjamin, is put together a very simple written explanation. I'm conscious that I'm not explaining it clearly.
Okay.
So I'll put together a very simple to read guide for that measurement feature, and I'll send that through to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other questions at all? I mean, once you start using the software, I think probably you'll come up with other questions once you use the software itself.
We have to use it then. Maybe there are some other questions. I think I know how to handle it now. So yeah, we will see. So
the best thing to do is honestly just use it. If you have questions, please don't hesitate. Give me a call, give Nick a call, or send an email, whichever's easiest. And we'll answer your questions for you. No problem at all. But please do use it. Get familiar with it. For a lot of customers, we should be demonstrating this software when we demonstrate the cameras.
So there are a lot of videos I downloaded. So I also can use it with the software.
Yeah, absolutely. The software will open up lots of different file types. And if we go to File, Save As, it's a good point that I missed out actually. If we want to save this video, we can save the video off in all different formats if we want to. And we can, instead of saving the entire video, maybe we only want to save a small range of the video. We can save with our data. We can save with any processing or any of the information that we've used. It's all there for us to do under the Save File Save As tab.
So how can I save video without compression of single images? Like maybe there are some customers from media and broadcast, they only want to have the JPEG pictures, rare JPEG pictures. How is it possible to export?
This video is pre-recorded and this is an AVI file. If your customers are wanting raw data, we need to do that when we download the video from the camera, and it's only possible to do that when we're connected to the camera via the software. And I think that really is a separate that's a separate training discussion. I can show you how to do that separately, Benjamin. Lots of customers will want the raw data. Okay, I'll cover that separately for you. Okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to close this down. I'm going to say no to all of this. That really is the end of the training. Thank you for attending. Please, as I say, do use the software. And if you have any questions at all, please do get back to us. Yeah.
Yeah, I will try next videos to play a bit with it. So, yeah.
Obviously, we're at Testing Expo together the week after next. If you have questions or you want to spend more time, obviously Nick's going to be there as well. We can spend more time with you going through the software and the cameras themselves. No problem. Answer any questions you've got at all.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you very much indeed for attending, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah. 1 second.
Sure.
I have